The dark is consuming. Sleep pulls you into the unknown, sending you through disorienting realms of green, ultimately shaping you into a monster far from home. There you come face to face with a decrepit, shambling corpse who speaks to you of concepts, ideas, of becoming something altogether new. And thus begins The Swamp Thing Issue 2, wading through the depths of theme and tone with clarity. This is a series more focused on the grand tapestry than the individual parts, making each step deliberate and methodical. Few answers are given here, if any, really. But by the end of the issue, we are granted a glimpse of the grand scale to come, and it shows great potential. And if anything, the emphasis on theme is a bit on the nose, with the villain of the piece speaking repeatedly about the persistence of ideas and the necessity for the Swamp Thing to adopt a new beginning. Subtle, this is not. Which is a shame, because the concepts presented here is a decent approach and paves the way for things to come. A little subtlety could have made that transition all the more poignant. As it is, the very direct nature of the conversations with the villain feels too on the nose, robbing the weight from the reveal at the end. It is a testament to the strength of the concept, however, that I remain just as interested despite what I feel is a weakness in the dialogue. For all the lack of subtlety, this is a story about transformation, transition, and finding your place in the world. It deals with themes of trying to understand who you are and who you are meant to be, where you want to go with your life. And Ram V is utilizing Swamp Thing to great effect to highlight and intensify this conundrum. This is a very relatable subject matter, especially for me, and it is handled well here thus far. While the first issue introduced and told part of the story through the eyes of a sheriff in Arizona, his role is reduced here in the second issue. Initially, he felt like he was going to be a vessel for seeing events from a different perspective, adding depth to the story, but here it feels as though he is going to be sidelined in the greater narrative. And that may not be the case, as admittedly this is only the second issue, but the progression thus far is a bit disconcerting in that regard. Ideally, characters would not be given focus and perspective if they don't serve a greater purpose. As it is, it feels like a waste. Now, this may not ultimately detract from enjoyment of the book, but it feels as though it may potentially be a mishandling of supporting cast. That being said, with the developments toward the end of this issue, the sheriff may serve a greater role yet, so I will withhold my judgment. I just thought it was a little bit concerning and would be worth mentioning. I'm curious to see how that aspect of it plays out in future issues. And likewise, there is a small cameo toward the end of the book that lasts a single page, in fact, just a single panel, and I am uncertain whether it is a hint of things to come or meant to provide a sense of scope. Now, sometimes comics set firmly in an established universe will provide flashes of different characters around the world reacting to events in order to give readers a sense of how grand these events are meant to be, and this appearance of Batman feels as though it could be that. However, since we only get Batman, it makes me think he will make an appearance further down the line, potentially as soon as next issue. My hope is the latter. Otherwise, I would feel it was a misuse of the character and a poor handling of the scope method. So far, Ram V has been really good about utilizing the space allotted in order to tell his story, so my expectation is that he knows what he is doing here, and it would be disappointing if it proves otherwise. And just as with the first issue, the art by Mike Perkins is evocative and dark, serving the tone of the story better than many other artists might. His work is a perfect fit for Swamp Thing, specifically when taking a more horror focus, as is the case here. In issue 2, Ram V somehow manages to progress the story in significant ways while also making it feel like a small step forward. This is achieved by significant developments that really alter the trajectory of the story, yet at the same time, character progression remains slow and steady. It's a strange dichotomy which reminds me of shows like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, in which an episode can simultaneously move the plot forward incrementally while introducing significant moments that feel momentous. This really is a comic book equivalent of a slow burn TV show. I am here for it. While this issue doesn't blow me away by any means, it is a solid entry that adds another layer to an already firm foundation while showing signs of big things to come. A book that requires patience. Swamp Thing proceeds at its own pace, but it guarantees to be compelling the entire way. Be sure to help me out by hitting like and subscribe. Leave a comment to let me know your thoughts. And until next time, this is Uncle Joel saying, stay tangible.